What are we learning about the Spurs through the 2026 NBA playoffs? Are they a juggernaut? Do they have any weaknesses? Hey, welcome back to another episode of Spurs in Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube Music. The list goes on and on. Don't forget about the Substack, Spurs in Focus Substack, completely free. Go sign up right now. Just click subscribe. And guess what? You're good to go. You're part of the crew. Thank you for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. You want to come here every time you need to get your Spurs fix right here at Spurs in Focus. Ignore the rest. Come to the best. Again, right here on Spurs in Focus. I am your host, Jeff Garcia, longtime Spurs writer here in San Antonio. What are we talking about today? Well, we're waiting for Game 6, which is tomorrow in Minnesota. But now's kind of a chance to kind of breathe, take in what we've learned about the Spurs team through the Blazers series and so far through this Wolves series. What are we learning about this team? Are they just a juggernaut? Can anybody stop them? Do they have any weaknesses? What's standing out? What do we like? What don't we like? We're going to talk about that and then get into some of your comments. Spurs in Focus fans, you guys are leaving some great comments on the YouTube page. We're going to address a few of them right here on today's episode. Let's go ahead and bring in my good friend. He is Mr. James Espinosa. You see him on your screen there. He's with the Sunday Sports Rush out in Corpus Christi, MIC Sports Network, Mike Sports Network. Make sure to follow him on X at Sir Edward James. Man, how you doing, buddy? What a time to be alive. You're a Spurs fan.
What a time, man. I feel like these, as of late, it doesn't feel real, Jeff, to me
Right?
still. I still gotta pinch myself because where they've come from last year to the last 3 seasons to now on the verge of a Western Conference Finals. Would we have ever thought that? It doesn't feel real, but man, we are lucky to be living through this time and seeing a rebuild come to fruition. It's exciting times.
It really is. It really is. And yeah, you talk about pitching yourself. Yeah, I mean, just feels like yesterday it was a 22 season win, 20 win season. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Yeah, just in the lottery, what are they gonna pick? Here we go again, another wasted season. But nope. They are knocking on the door of the Western Conference Finals. We'll get you a full preview on tomorrow's episode of Spurs in Focus. But right now, as I said, we're going to take a deep breath, kind of soak it all in right now, and try to see just how far this Spurs team has come since Game 1 of the NBA playoffs to now. They took on the Blazers, got rid of them. They're on the verge of getting the Wolves out. We'll see what happens. But James, what have you learned about this team so far? Are they a juggernaut? Can anybody stop them? Do you see any weaknesses?
What I've learned about this team so far, Jeff, and the one thing that I'm hearkening back to every single time is how this team is resilient and how they're able to face adversity head on. There's been 3 games that they've lost so far, right? Here in these playoffs, through 10 so far. One of them was the Wemby concussion game, right? When Wemby left, got hurt. The next one, Wemby didn't shoot too well. He was 5 of 17 from the field. Right. And then, of course, the most recent one was the Wemby elbow ejection. So, we've seen those losses, but we've seen them bounce back and respond from those losses. And just the other night in Game 5, we saw them almost hit the wall in that late second to early third quarter where you're thinking, man, this offense is going flat. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pick it up. Someone's going to have to do something. Yeah. But then you see them, Jeff, all of a sudden in the quarter on a 19-6 run, in the quarter on a 30-12 run, and essentially take things over in that third. To me, Jeff, and I was saying this to some of my followers down here in Corpus Christi, I was just saying that was a championship level grit that they showed the other night. And for the first time, I really did feel, man, this could be real. This could be a team that can win it all. I'm not going to say they're infallible, Jeff, because we know that they have some flaws, but they do have this toughness that they show night in and night out. And it was on full display against the Wolves in Game 5. Their ability to withstand everything that the Wolves were trying to throw at them, take a punch, take another punch, and still go toe to toe
Mhm.
and finish the Wolves off in game 5. It was a beautiful thing to see.
It absolutely was. And what I'm learning so far about this silver and black team is, and I want to highlight what you said, the resilience. They have not lost 2 games in a row in the postseason. And remember, everybody, in the regular season, they didn't lose more than 2 games straight. They never were on a 3-game losing skid or nothing. They bounced back from the loss in Portland, to the Blazers in the series. And guess what? They go back and they beat them in their gym. Same thing we're seeing here with the Wolves. They lose one to the Wolves. They don't crumble. They don't fall. They go back and just get W's. The other thing, too, is that I'm learning about this team is they're kind of adapting on the fly, and they're doing a beautiful job of it. Physicality got increased from the Blazers series to the Minnesota series, and they've adapted. Well, you can't get more adapting than Wemby throwing an elbow. You want to get physical? Let's get physical. And Wemby definitely did that. And they're handling it. They're dishing it out. They're taking it too. So they're be able to withstand a battle-tested, playoff-tested Minnesota team, and they're going toe-to-toe with them. And sometimes I think, and this kind of goes to my weakness side, if I have to pick up anything right now, is that this series should have been a sweep. I think you play Wemby. If he doesn't get ejected, they probably win that game. And game 1, it was all them. It really wasn't anything that the Wolves did. It was just on them. So you're still seeing some signs of still maturity on the court, but my goodness, they are rapidly getting smarter, rapidly understanding the game. You hear it from the guys, Vassell, Castle, Keldon, et cetera, et cetera. What do they say? Oh, we're learning that, yeah, the physicality has amped up. We're learning how the refs are calling things. Their basketball IQ is on point right now, James. And that's what I like about this team. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. They're growing by the minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're growing into this playoff where at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, all the questions were, well, how are they going to be able to handle
Mm-hmm.
their first 7-game series as a unit? Well, they did that, rather easily in 5 games. This one
Right.
is a tougher test. And you mentioned the physicality that they have shown. They've in this series, they've had to stand up to Minnesota trying to play
Mm-hmm.
bully ball with them.
Yeah.
And the fact that they responded in game 5 with the intensity that they did and not going to be pushed around by what Minnesota was trying to impose on them, not going to fall for some of the quote rage baiting tactics,
Mm-hmm.
end quote, that Wembanyama had said in the post game of game 5. And, Wemby, the question, right? How would he individually come out in game 5 after the ejection in game 4? And Jeff, he came out with a ferocity. I
Yes, he
don't
did.
think I have ever seen Wemby be so demonstrative on the court to where he is actively just fired up. There's that GIF, that picture that's floating around where Wemby's hunched over and he's staring straight, kind of off to the side. And it's a screen grab that's going all the way around of just the intense look that he showed, the demeanor. And that, Jeff, to me was a sign that says, you know what, this guy is fully locked in.
Yeah.
And he was, to steal a wrestling term, because I am a nerd, Jeff.
Steal it, man. Steal it.
Of Roman Reigns, one of the current WWE champions. Wemby was in God mode the other night. He was feeling it, man, and it was special to see. So the fact that this team has been able to go toe-to-toe, been able to withstand everything that Minnesota has thrown at them, man, you got to feel good right now heading into game 6.
Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be nice, Jeff. I like what I'm seeing.
Me too. Yeah. And you look at this too. Look at the strength of schedule. They've had a tougher road versus than what Oklahoma City has to go through. OKC, they're just waiting right now. Okay, great. You took on a Phoenix team that, they didn't have any business in the playoffs. Then you took on a Lakers team that was depleted, an aged LeBron James, no Luka, swept them. So in essence, it's almost like OKC is about to get their real test should the Spurs survive this series and move on. Cross the fingers they do. But look, I don't want to rain in the parade. There are some things that are still a concern. And I think for me is what we're seeing so far, especially in the last 2 games, those leads that seem to evaporate. They had a sizable lead in game 5, come out of halftime, and the Wolves actually took the lead back. Now, good thing, but it's also good and bad. It's bad they did, but it's good because they rebounded quick and they put the Wolves to sleep fast. But you're still seeing that. Also, too, late game focus, late game execution. Even though the Spurs are trouncing the Wolves in game 5, Minnesota kind of made a run in the fourth period. I think it was like a +6 run. They got things a little closer than for comfort, but the Spurs took care of business. So I'm torn, James. I don't know. I'm like, okay, bad Spurs, don't be giving up leads, but yeah, good Spurs. When you see it slip with your fingers, you respond quickly. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think
Mhm.
what, one of my weaknesses so far that I've seen
Mhm.
from San Antonio is the offensive inconsistencies at times.
Mm.
We
Okay.
can see this team go on spurts, 6 minutes or so where the shot's just not falling
Mhm.
and they're settling for difficult jumpers. They get stagnant possessions late in quarters, sometimes an over reliance on Wembanyama, isolation creation, and
Interesting.
just I feel like they just get
Mhm.
real set in what has been working, and then the other team, of course,
Yeah.
Minnesota in this case, will adjust, and then they just kind of keep on pounding their head into the wall until shots fall or they make some
Mhm.
sort of adjustment. So when their offense becomes vulnerable is, of course, when those 3-point shots are not falling, and we've
Right.
seen them struggle from the 3-point line
Yes, we have.
multiple times this series alone. Uh, that's been something where, hey, man, just the other night, right? You had Vassell and you had Champagne. They didn't have the best nights from 3-point land, right? They were struggling a tad bit,
Mhm.
or I would say a lot of bit. And as a team overall, the Spurs, they weren't shooting great from beyond the arc as well, percentage wise, when you look at the box score. So to me, an inconsistency at times in offense, I feel going forward when they do end up playing Oklahoma City, because I firmly believe that they
Mhm.
will win this series against the Wolves. And if they don't, then you can clip this and make fun of me if you want out there.
We
But
won't do that.
I do feel that they will win this series, but I feel that they need to be more
Yeah.
consistent, especially from the outside, because
Yeah.
although they did shoot 34% from three, you'll take
Mhm.
one out of every three attempts. There's those stretches where their main 3-point shooters are just absolutely cold, and then they got to start
Mhm.
supplementing with everybody else and putting pressure on everybody else on that front.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Vassell because much like how I just said right now, how the Spurs, get these sizable leads, they let it go, and then they kind of rebound pretty fast and put teams to sleep, whether it be the Blazers or the Wolves. And you look at Vassell, it's almost the same thing. So far to the playoffs, you take for example game 2 in Portland, right? Vassell goes over 5 from the 3 line, right? And his 3-point shooting has been streaky.
Mhm.
He's a key piece in spacing. But when he's cold, my God, he's cold. We saw it in game 5 where he missed, I think, 3 shots in a row, just missed them. But at the same time, you look at his numbers, and so far through the playoffs, not just the Minnesota series, this includes the Portland series, he's a plus 10.6 for the Spurs when he's on
Yeah.
the court. He's giving you 13 points per game, about 5 rebounds and 3 assists. So he's putting in good work, minimal turnovers. I mean, applaud him for this 1.1 turnover so far during the the postseason run here, and he's giving you nearly 2 steals at 1.4. But he goes through those spurts where he gets a little cold. And same thing for Champagne as well. That's kind of another weakness, and it does hover around what you're talking about, the 3-point shooting. We haven't seen a Champagne barrage, have we? This postseason, have we? Or do I remember forgetting what game or two?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say in game, man, you know what? I would have to look back at it to be quite fair
Yeah.
to
I'll
answer
look
that
it up real
question. But
fast here.
but
But
I, it does feel like it's been a little
yeah,
while. Well, from what we saw in game 4,
yeah,
he was shooting 33% from three, but in game 3 is when he
yeah,
shot 66%. So it would
yeah.
probably be game 3 and even game 2 where he shot 42% from 3-point
Mhm.
land, put up 12 and 17 points respectively in games 3 and games 2. So, but in game 4, he was at 33%. And then game 5, 25%
Yeah.
or so. So it was a little bit rough for him
Mhm.
in that regard. And you just like to see a little bit more. And, that's just being nitpicky. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's being a little bit nitpicky. The Spurs, of course, did blow them out by 29 points.
that they did. Yep.
So, we're looking at some sort of deficiencies that can potentially get them in trouble against the OKC Thunder. And to me, it's just inconsistent outside shooting at times, I think can definitely stymie them.
Champagne's best game so far, including the Portland series and now the Wolves series, is a 19-point outing. It was a 114-95 win over Portland. That was in game 5. In that game, he went 5 for 7 from the 3 line, and that's what he is. He's a great 3-point shooter. That was his best shooting performance from the 3 line. His next best game was game 1 of the Wolves series, where the Spurs lost 104-102. He goes 3 for 7. He had 17 points. But we really haven't seen him go nuclear as we saw during the regular season. I think that'll be huge, especially going into the Thunder series. Should again the Spurs survive?
Should they survive? I know I'm talking very confidently here. I really,
I don't blame you, man.
I
mean,
understand. I understand. Whoever's going to watch or listen to this might be saying, "Hey, that James guy already has the Spurs advancing on."
Yeah,
I just feel, Jeff. I feel that game 5 was a crushing blow to Minnesota, to their psyche, to everything involved. And even going back to game 4, when the Spurs were without Victor Wembanyama for 75% of the time, but still everybody else was contributing. The Spurs were up by 8 points in the 4th quarter, and then the offense went cold, right? So if you're Minnesota, you're thinking, man, you know what? Even without Wemby, their guys can give us their best effort, and it's going to cause us to have to play at our absolute maximum. Now that Wemby came back and what he did in game 5, where he just pretty much took over the game, and, you know, that first quarter alone was spectacular, set the tone. I just feel, man, that Minnesota, I think they've given all they've got, and I think the Spurs are just the better team. So that's the reasoning why I think the Spurs are going to win on Friday night.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because Spurs In Focus game reporter Hector Ledesma, he talked to Fox exactly about that on behalf of Spurs In Focus about, hey, you know, are we at the point already where the Wolves already know what the Spurs are going to do, and the Spurs are going to know what the Wolves are going to do? And Fox told us, yes, that we're there yet. So what does that mean, James? It comes down to who executes the best. And I firmly believe the Spurs are executing the best. Like, they got the horses, they got the talent. And I just feel the Spurs have more consistent help for Wemby. I look at the other side of the court, James, and he has help. Randall, McDaniels, Gobert, Nas, but he doesn't have consistent help game in and game out. The last game, he looked gassed, man. He looked gassed. There was a play where he shot the ball or he passed the ball, whatever. The point is, he was involved in the offense, and everybody was scrambling for the rebound, and there was Ant just all right, good luck, guys, you get it. He wasn't involved as much. The other thing that I'm learning about this team is just how many weapons they have. Minus Keldon, who had himself a nice rebound game in game 5, but you're getting production now from De'Aaron Fox. Let's talk about him real fast. He's so far, if you really look about it, he scored in double figures in almost nearly every single Spurs playoffs game this year, including the Portland series. And look at the last 3 games. He's giving you 18 points in game 5. Game 4, he gave you 24. And game 3, he gave you 17. And I know he's kind of a lightning rod for Spurs fans. He gets paid and this, that. But he's kind of rebounded pretty well of late. What do you think?
I think so too, Jeff. And averaging about 18.6 points here in the playoffs, which was equally to his season average of 18.6. So he's producing just like the way he was in the regular season here in the playoffs. The field goal percentage is a little bit down. The 3-point percentage is a little bit down, but you can accredit that to, defense is tightening things up here in the postseason. But hey, man, you got to be happy with what you're seeing. 40% from the field in that win against Minnesota the other night, 34% in the loss, and then in game 4, but he did drop 24. And I know people say he disappears at times, and I've been critical of him too. I think sometimes he can be a little bit more of an attacker, a little bit more of a slasher, get into the paint and cause chaos. I do feel he settles for some contested deep threes from time to time, and I think that's one of his only flaws that I see. I would just like for him to be a little bit more of a consistent attacker with the ball in his hands. But man, you cannot criticize him too much. He's been putting up points. He has been showing up when it matters. And you know what? He was as integral a part of that win the other night as anybody else on that court. So I'm with you.
Yeah, really well. And before we take our first break here, and we're gonna get to your Spurs In Focus fan comments in just a few seconds, I want to look at some of the advanced numbers here, and this is just eye popping right now. So far throughout the playoffs, all right, Portland series, Wolf series, and just everybody else in the field, they're first in defensive rating at 103.7. They're third in offensive rating at 116.8. It's good for the third best net rating at 13.1. They're 7-3 in the postseason. That's great. That's awesome. They're first in blocks. Obviously, they got to gain in Wemby, so moving on. But you look at some of just the numbers here. Their weakest number is exactly what we've been talking about. They're 12th in 3-point percentage in the playoffs, which is not bad. But again, that is one of the biggest bugaboos they've had so far the regular season and then the postseason. But you look at other stats here: 6th in rebounding percentage at 51.4%. What else we got here? Steal percentage, they're top 10, number 6 at 9.2% a game. So they are humming offensively and defensively, which begs the question again. And we go back to the start of this, James. This team is shaping up to be a juggernaut, man. The more experience they get, the more lessons they learn in the playoff court, they're going to get, should they advance, they're going to get a big taste of going up against the defending champs. I know what you say about the regular season. They smoked them. I get that. But this is a playoff level. This is a Western Conference Finals. They're going to get a lot more experience, James. Man, they are knocking on that door of becoming a quick dynasty soon if they keep this up.
Yeah, those numbers that you just rattled off are astounding. You know what I mean? The overall net rating right there is a pretty good indicator of how teams typically perform. I mean, you could look at the regular season, and the teams with the highest net ratings are the ones who are pretty much still in the playoff as we speak. So yeah, man, look, and the defensive intensity, I mean, that cannot be overlooked, man. It's so difficult to pinpoint what is this team better at. Are they better at offense? Are they better at defense? Because it's just, I mean, they're about equal.
Both, man. We're there. They're both.
Like the way the net rating says, right? They're right there, neck and neck with each other. But the other night, man, just the defense was able to just flummox Minnesota. And even though Anthony Edwards did put up 20 points, like you mentioned, his supporting cast has not been there at all. I love the fact that we saw all the guards just absolutely giving fits to anybody who touched the ball. Carter Bryant had a big moment where he forced a 8-second violation, which was absolutely incredible. I mean, dude, things are humming along so smoothly on that side that, I mean, them against OKC, if it does eventually happen, is going to be something special, man. That's going to be an incredible series to behold. I will say this, though, Jeff, one more concern, and I know you want to get to some comments from the audience, but I do get concerned whenever Wemby's off the court. I feel like the non-Wemby minutes at time can be a little bit haywire and crazy, right? And sometimes Cornette, of course, he's susceptible whenever Wemby's not out there and teams start attacking more and the paint opens up just a little bit. But even offensively, when Wemby's not out there, I just feel that sometimes the guards like Castle, of course, Fox, Harper at times, even Vassell, that they'll just settle for jump shots or they won't be as paint attack oriented as maybe I would like. Maybe that's just my eye seeing it. And if anybody out there has any comments about that, feel free to get them in on the chat. But the non-Wemby minutes worry me because we've seen a couple of times here in this postseason, and we saw it the other night when Wemby exited that first quarter, how quickly Minnesota was able to get themselves back into the game. So that's just something I want to watch right there. And I know Wemby's the minutes weren't high, of course, in the regular season, but he's going to be asked to do a lot more. And he did have 33 minutes the other night. Of course, it was a blowout and the starters got pulled. But yeah, man, I'm a little bit worried about those non-Wemby minutes.
Yeah. I'll read the picture of this guy up there a little longer here. And I hope I'm reading this right, James. All right. So far through the playoffs, Victor Wembanyama has played 260 minutes. All right.
Okay.
So This is staggering. I hope I'm reading this right. Spurs and Focus fans, if I'm reading this wrong or I got the wrong number, please let me know because this is impossible. Whenever he's on the court in those 260 minutes, he's a plus 101. Because that can't be right, right? No, I think
Plus
that is
101.
one. Yes, that's what the
Wow.
numbers are showing right now.
That's
Interesting.
that's insane.
Interesting. That's insane. Again, I hope I'm reading it wrong because that's just staggering. I think that stat would have popped up multiple times. James, if you can look it up for me, but you know, even if it's not a plus 101, and maybe that number is just skewed a bit from the website that I'm going to right now, you still got to know that when he's on that floor, yes, everything clicks. And what are the Minnesota Timberwolves doing whenever he's off the court? They are attacking left and right. Gobert's looking at the same coming of, just somebody below Wemby. The point is that that's how important he is. And you're right. This team needs to learn how to play without him for extended minutes.
Yeah.
Because look, should they advance, he's going to go up against a brute like Lou Dort. He's going to go up against Hartenstein. Obviously, there's Chet. So they got some big boys on that side. But again, that's for a whole other show. But go ahead.
I have the number here.
No, thank you. Yes, please.
I don't have the cumulative number, but it's kind of in line with what you're saying. So the number that you threw out was a plus 101 for the entire playoffs, right? All minutes that he's played.
All minutes, yeah.
Okay, so this is just for the Timberwolves series, and this is according to ESPN.com.
Hit me with it.
He's contributing to a plus 50 over the 5 games.
Christ.
Over the 5 games in the conference semifinals versus the Timberwolves. So a plus 50. And you're saying he's overall a 101?
101, yeah. Which lines up.
I mean,
that lines up, yeah.
That kind of lines up with where he's at cumulatively in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's how important Mr. Victor Wembanyama is to this silver and black team. That man you see on your screen, he is Mr. James Espinosa with the Sunday Sports Rush Radio. That's out in Corpus Christi. He's going to brag about that in a few minutes. You want to follow him on X at Sir Edward James. Do that right now. All right, coming up. It's time for you guys. Spurs in Focus fan comments. You guys are leaving a bunch of them. We're going to pick 2 of them. Coming up next right here.
Secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull, I subscribe to Spurs in Focus."
By the way, right now it is actually James Espinosa after dark right now. It's after hours.
Yeah.
He's setting the mood, everybody. Look at that. And James, should we let you go unless you have a day night with your wife there, buddy? Should we hit fast forward on this thing?
I got a few more minutes to spare for sure. We're good.
Yeah. I just saw that right now. Like, hey, wait a minute. It's James Espinosa after hours, everybody. The rated R version. All right. We are back right here at Spurs in Focus. That man, James Espinosa. You want to follow him on X at Sir Edward James. Maybe get him some advice, how to set the mood, for when that time.
Yeah, please get in the comments with that. I can't wait to come back to this and read those. Get in the comments.
That would be hilarious, everybody. All right, it's your turn. You guys are leaving a bunch of comments at Spurs in Focus on YouTube. By the way, go subscribe right now. If you haven't, please do so. James, there are some concerns from the Spurs in Focus fan side of things, but there are also a lot of positives. So let's pick a couple here. Who are the lucky winners? Let's see here. Okay, here we got one. This is from Jean Martin Lubin, 5532. She is asking, let's discuss another issue. Someone from the coaching staff has to get on Champagny and Vassell's butt to let them know their job is to knock down threes. It's do or die. James, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we kind of just talked about, right? That was one of my main concerns is the streaky 3-point shooting and, them being ranked 12th in 3-point, percentage, Jeff, here in the postseason. So, yeah, I mean, one of the coaches, right, needs to kind of get in the ear, but, you got to trust these guys that they are going to get back to the mean, right? They are going to revert to the mean when it comes to their 3-point abilities. It was just a rough night the other night, right? But we cannot have these rough nights going forward, especially if you're going to be running into the Oklahoma City Thunder here in a few days. So I agree with Gene that somebody does need a whisper in their ear. Hey, man, the ball needs to go in the basket. The ball needs to hit some nylon a little bit more consistently. So I'm with Gene on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Now looking at Julia Champagny here for the playoffs. Actually, I take that back. That was against Minnesota there. But you're looking at just his play overall. Again, we talked about it too. He hasn't really gone nuclear as we saw during the regular season. Remember those games during the 82 game slate where he was just like almost unstoppable. And that's why I think he is perhaps one of the bigger keys to success, because when his shot is falling, my goodness, this team is unstoppable.
Now, this might be like we said earlier, this might be just us nitpicking a little bit because you're looking at the cumulative, right? And I have his
Right.
postseason numbers here in front of me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's shooting 45% from
Right.
3-point range
Exactly.
in the postseason, which is far above his 38% that he was hitting in the regular season. Mind you, it's 10 games played, right?
Sure.
So maybe this is just us nitpicking a bad performance.
Right.
Because I do think that Julian is going to have a big shot or two coming up
Mhm.
in the rest of these playoffs. He's going to be
Yeah.
a factor.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah. For the playoffs, yes, he is shooting 45%. But perhaps for Gene, and why she left that comment, is because during the Wolves series so far, that's where we see the reduction at 34%. So, yeah, but this is a great comment. As far as Vassell, yeah, we talked about that too. He has been inconsistent at times, but are you at this point of his career? Are you shocked? That's kind of been his deal. You know, he is a streaky shooter, but my goodness, just like Champagny, when he is on, he is on. That is a great comment. Thank you, Gene. We got another comment. This is from CV787. He says, quote, "Why does it seem like everyone is avoiding talking about starting Luke and Wemby? Luke can guard Randall just for the first 5 minutes, if in each half, then stagger their minutes like normal." And apparently 3 people gave that a thumbs up. So it looks like some Spurs and Focus fans agree with CV787. James, your thoughts?
We did a show a couple of weeks back where
Mhm.
I did mention the fact that I would like to see them go double bigs from time to time, get a little big to match some of the physical prowess that Minnesota does have.
Sure.
And you know, I'm with the commenter right there. I think, you know, getting that French vanilla combination, a little bit of run together, I would like to see it just to kind of have that big lineup, kind of make things difficult for the Randalls and for Gobert, etc. And McDaniels. So I'm with you on that one. I don't know why they haven't played it. Jeff, do you have a sense of why that might be?
The only thing I think of is just, you lose size off that bench, because after that it goes to Carter Bryant as a de facto quote unquote big off
And
the
then
bench.
either
I think
that
that's the one too.
or you're playing Bismack, or
Yeah.
you're bringing in Plumlee to get
Yeah.
a few minutes. And let's just be honest, man, as cool as Bismack and Plumlee are, if you're having to play them in any meaningful playoff minutes, then something has probably gone wrong and they're forced to play, or you're blowing out the team by 30 points, which we saw the other night. So I can see where Mitch is coming from, where he wants to conserve Luke Cornett for whenever Wemby does come off the court, and you got to have a sizable big out there who can disrupt. And you know what, Cornett? Hey, man, he's had a little bit of rough moments in my estimation, but he's played serviceable. He does his job. He makes things dirty down there.
Exactly. I'll take it. Yeah, you're right. And when do you see a Plumlee or Olenek or Bismack, is garbage time. So that's what you really see him. Also, too, the last thing you need too is for both of these guys to get into some sort of foul trouble early in the game. If they're out there, then great. Who's in a spell? Wemby, should he pick up quick fouls, and vice versa? So you got to keep an eye on that. But that's a great comment there. Hey guys, thank y'all for leaving comments. We got a bunch of them. I wish James and I had the entire night to talk about what y'all are talking about, but keep them coming. Again, go subscribe to Spurs in Focus on YouTube right now. James, you need to brag about the Rush, man. What is going on with you guys?
Yeah, so we just had Jeff on our latest show this past weekend. So thank you, Jeff, for coming on to the Sunday Sports Rush. But we're a live radio show in Corpus Christi. We're a weekend show on Sunday mornings from 9 to 11 a.m. We're on News Talk KEYS 1440 AM and on our FM signal 98.7. Yeah, man. I mean, we've been going strong. Actually, this weekend will be our 250th show. So it's a milestone show for us. Yes. Thank you. And we've been doing this for a few years. We talk all sports. Right now, we're very Spurs centric. Of course, Corpus Christi is a Spurs town. Yep. Thank you, sir. And there's been watch parties all over Corpus. The various bars, the establishments here in town have been setting up Spurs watch parties. So it's nice to see the Spurs fandom out here. But yeah, y'all guys, give us a listen. Lots of Spurs, Cowboys, Longhorns. We talk national and we talk Texas as well. So give us a listen. The Sunday Sports Rush.
A couple things real fast, a little behind the scenes look. So I had told James that I'm going to do his show this past Sunday at 10 a.m. So I set my alarm for about 15 till, just in case I forget, right? Well, James was trying to get a hold of me like hours before that. Like, and the last one was good, like, yo, like something like, where are you? Then I'm like, I literally tell him, I go, I'm waiting in the studio right now.
Yeah.
James was like, where is this guy, man?
No, I knew you would come through. I figured you're sleeping in, but hey, I'm an early bird, man. I was up, ready to go, and I was like, dang it, I didn't get to confirm with Jeff if he was going to be on, which,
I had set the alarm. Yeah.
Typically we send a courtesy text to each other like, hey, you still good? Hey, we still on? Just out of professionalism, right? But I knew you were going to come through, man. You always come through for us.
I got your back, man. I got your back. I said, I'm going to set it for 9:45. Give me about 5 minutes just to set up, get my headphones on, and we're good to go. Then I think your producer, he got a hold of me. Yeah, Aiden, he got a hold of me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm good to go. And that's when I looked at James, and he's like red alert signals going on there. But again, James, thank you so much for joining us here at Spurs In Focus. Can't wait to rejoin you guys at the Rush. That'd be great to talk to you and the rest of Corpus Christi listeners as well. And looking forward to James Espinosa After Hours show. I wonder when that's going to happen.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Things could get spicy. Watch out.
Very spicy, quick there. Again, he is Mr. James Espinosa. Follow my next at Sir Edward James. You want to do that ASAP right now. Everybody else, thank y'all for making Spurs In Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Seriously, do not go anywhere else. This should be your first listen, your first watch every time you need some Spurs info and more. Subscribe to the Spurs In Focus Substack, completely free. Just Google it, sign up. You're in, part of the crew. Don't forget Apple iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, YouTube, obviously, YouTube Music. The list goes on and on where you can get Spurs In Focus. We're going to be back tomorrow to preview Game 6. We have Mr. James Pleasure of San Antonio Sports Star on deck. We're going to break it down, and y'all have seen Pleasure, man. He'd get fired up, man. So wait till you see him for tomorrow. But with that, for Mr. James Espinosa, I am Jeff Garcia, and now you're in focus with Spurs In Focus.